You're listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner.
Hey guys, Charge Hayner at Zoom the TBT, and boys and girls, we've got a Christmas present for you. This is season 3, episode 0. Charge, what's happening, my man?
Oh, not much, Hayner. Excited to talk a little TBT for the holidays. So wasn't expecting to get started until we hit next year, but got the phone call from you, pitched an idea, and can't wait to get the season rolling.
Yeah, we'll start a little early this year. This is, again, episode 0. It's a preview episode. We're not quite ready to get into full gear yet. But hey, you know what? You're all sitting there at home. You're around your families, most of which you probably hate. So you need something to talk about. We're going to provide it for you. We've got a way too early bracketology to talk about. And I mean, by too early, I mean, like, this is in the embryonic stages. So we're just at this point, educated guesses, barely educated guesses. How would you characterize this, Charge? Guesses, yeah, barely
plain guesses. And educated guesses don't fit either of us well, so let's just go with guesses. But yeah, and like I said, we'll use a little bit of logic and a little bit of guesswork, but it comes together. It works.
A little bit of logic. Okay, so let's get into this real quick. So before we get into this, let's talk a little bit about what's happening, date and time. We're taping this on the 23rd. We're releasing this tomorrow on Christmas Eve. And the COVID call-ups to NBA. And we've got some guys who have played in the TBT who are now getting a shot at the big time, a shot in the league. Now, going TBT to NBA is not unknown, but the volume of playing basketball in a plague seems to have affected roster construction. Charge, what stands out to you about this?
Yeah, no, it's been pretty exciting. Obviously, we know you're the college guy. I'm the G League guy. So, I mean, unprecedented call-ups. Obviously, the COVID hardships is, what's driving it to these 10-day contracts. But as a fan of TBT, as a fan of the G League, it's been amazing watching the opportunity open up for these guys. Some of them had the opportunity before. Some of them was the first time. And heck, Joe Johnson, 20 years between games or whatever that number was, from his last game to Boston to this latest one has been wild to see. And you can see some of these guys have just had a major impact on the TBT. Devon Reed was a first timer last year with Cat 5 and, made a nice run with those guys. That first House of Pain run with Malcolm Hill was fantastic. And, of course, you got BJ Johnson, Jamario Jones, Trevor Queen, who, not a lot of folks know who he is, and lit up the G League last year, shown with Eberline and getting a well-deserved call-up. And Jamario Jones is just a beast. You heard me talking about him last year for Harvard Athlete, so another well-deserved one. And then there's your boy in the bottom right, Hayner, so I'll let you take that one.
Oh, and Joe? Yeah, so I think it's interesting because, like, I respect his games. He's always been a bucket, obviously. And that bucket he got at the end of the game was just like he dribbled with the speed of an arthritic corpse, but he got to his spot and he had still that sweet shot. His size, speed is almost irrelevant. He gets to his spot still. And of course, I'm wondering, you see, obviously the picture we chose for this was him being covered by our buddy Ott. I mean, is somebody going to hire Ott to be a Joe Johnson stopper? Is that what needs to happen in the league? Is that what needs to happen? And we'll talk about Ott and his boys from Hurd in a little bit when we talk about the regions. But you like this?
I just wondered if they called up the right guy in that photo. I mean, what I can do. I mean, you've seen it.
Ott's a stopper, man. Ott's a stopper. Plus, as a law student, he also helped them negotiate contracts on the side too. So I mean, he can provide added value. And you love this one tweet by your boy, so I'll let you speak about this a little bit.
Yeah, my guy Scoochie Smith, obviously a Charge guy, and just got a chuckle out of this one. I mean, they were coming so fast, Woj and Shams and everyone involved with NBA Twitter. I mean, every other minute there was going to be a 10-day contract being handed out. So I think Scoochie framed it up just right with you get a contract, you get a contract, you get a contract. And so, this one was just a fun one. And, so Scoochie, good sense of humor there, and begs the question, what's going to happen with Scoochie in Red Scare this year? So we have some ties with Scoochie, and TBT has yet to suit up. So we need to get him on a 2022 TBT contract with Red Scare. So let's get him a contract. May not be the one he's looking for 10-day, but come on, Joey, let's get it done.
Well, it only needs to be for 2 weeks to win the money too. And plus he doesn't have to even leave Dayton the way this works out, which we'll get to as well in a minute. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So
Shocking.
they've remixed the regions a little, and it's interesting because I think this has a lot to do with the drive time. And of course, we'll get to the TBD thing in a minute, because we want to talk about the region to be determined. That's kind of an amazing thing. But so Charge, like obviously some great regions here. We just look at it from a personal standpoint. What region are you most excited to see in person this year?
In person, absolutely Xavier down there in Cincinnati. This is one where I think Xavier just went above and beyond anyone's expectations of last year. I don't think they surprised themselves, but just well-oiled, just ran really nicely, led to TBT and gear sales. The fan base was insane. So I just think this is going to be a crazy environment. It's obviously still the closest to my house after Columbus is not on the photo for the first time in some time. So it's going to be the closest drive for me. But I'm just excited about the environment down there and still being in Ohio and that Xavier team. And we'll talk a little more about it. There's another team that they better form. They better get in, or I will be very disappointed. But Xavier, absolutely 100% will be in person in Xavier.
Are you willing to help our lads in question a little bit? I mean, I'm kind of not, and we'll get to why in a minute, but you can call us. We'll get to who it is in a minute. We'll get to them in a minute. I'm most excited in person about a few of these because unfortunately you'll see, again, being a New York based, you're in Ohio. I've got a couple of makeable drives. The West Virginia one we did last year together, which got to meet you in person for the first time, which was an amazing atmosphere, by the way. So I'm probably going to find myself back there again. But I can get to Syracuse a little easier. So I might try to split the difference and spend the first couple games in Syracuse and take a red eye down to West Virginia. And there's odds we might both be in Dayton. But let's skip ahead about
West Virginia is going to be fun too. I can't remember how all these days line up, but those are my people down there. I love West Virginia. I mean, it's just south of Ohio here, but that would be my second favorite one. Assuming Buffalo got snubbed, I'm still kind of getting over that, but I'm sure Buffalo's not in this year. But yeah, Xavier and West Virginia are both going to be the ones I'd go to.
And if I decide to fly first weekend, which we'll get to why I would in a minute, I mean, the pit, that's got to be a historic atmosphere to see this tournament. So that's a great get for TBT to have a region hosted at the pit. That's a historic venue for college basketball.
That's the one I'm most excited for from afar. You know,
Absolutely,
I won't make the trip down there, but most excited. They had a good team. And a couple of ones that surprised me. Dayton got a regional plus championship week. Kind of surprised me. I can't confirm nor deny this, but you know, some folks I was talking to that may be highly competitive with Dayton said it's because their fans will never get to see them play at home because they'll never make it to the championship week. I don't know. It wasn't me. That's what I heard. So they had to throw them a regional.
Yes. Oh my God, that's brutal. You must see a dead body Charge. Just put one out there. Call us, Joe. We still love you. Let's get to the.
I didn't say I said it.
Yeah, don't shoot.
But it was brought up in the conversation.
I sent the message. Okay, so where is this mystery region? So we've heard, and we don't know for sure. It's potentially East Coast, which would make me a little happy. Some places we could put it. And these are pure speculation at this point. They've gone to Baltimore before, and DC was going to host a regional in the before times in pre-COVID. They haven't done one in a while there, so that would be a good place to go. They've hosted one in Philly before too. And I think, Charge, this is your favorite of the three options we discussed. The Palestra, if you can hold it there, an icon of basketball. That'd be a great region. I mean, that's one you would like most to see.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I think Philly is just a basketball city. I think the environment, the intensity. I mean, the teams that are there already with Team Brotherly Love and Newman Goretti and 20th and Olney, you know, I mean, it would just be crazy. Plus the teams that would travel to play in Philadelphia from around New York area. It'd be a fantastic show. And I think they deserve it. They've been pretty patient after not hosting in a long time. So if it's not Buffalo, my vote is definitely in pulling for Philadelphia.
My second favorite city is Philly. And my first TBT experience was in Philly, by the way. That was my first TBT experience was in Philadelphia. Watching Eric Devendorf try to fight the entirety of 20th Only, which is still my favorite moment, by the way. But my first vote would be to hold it right here. I can take the 4, 5, 6 up to Harlem to go to Rucker Park. I mean, that would be, so there's an interesting idea of like, it's a mecca of basketball in general. They haven't been back to New York in a minute either. And plus, like, if they're wanting to go outdoors, if they want to play on that hallowed ground, that'd be a real interesting thing. There's liability concerns, obviously. Would people want to play outdoors? Do you take a wood court and with cushioning and put it on the playground to like make sure that's there, but you're still in the venue? Do you have to like weatherproof it and do tents? Like, what do you have to do to make sure you can make it work? But if in the right constraints, that would be a hot story. That would be really cool. So you're saying Philly, I'm saying New York City. I think both would be incredible.
Yeah. I mean, the outdoor thing sounds intriguing. I just don't know logistically how that plays out from,
you lack imagination. You lack imagination. You lack faith. You lack faith, my friend.
He is the king of imagination and innovation. So, I mean, this one would not surprise me. I think it's the lead based on some of the folks we chat with. I don't think anyone has any inside info if it's Rucker or not, but a lot of the folks we talk to definitely think Rutgers high up there in the consideration ladder.
I've heard the rumor from enough people where I'm starting to wonder if one of us just said it offhand and we're sort of self-circulating the same bullshit. I'm starting to wonder at this point. Like I heard that from so-and-so. Who knows? But I have heard one GM who will remain nameless told me he has an idea where the mystery region is, and that's where he's going, which I found really interesting. So somebody out there thinks they know where it is. I don't know. We won't rat the guy out, but anyway. So the host, the teams. So there are 8 teams teams that have made it, and we've got some pretty solid teams. They're the Blue Crew, interesting squad. The Creighton alums. You've got Zip 'em Up. You got the guys who came to play last time. The Enchantment at the Pit. What a great story. And of course, the Red Scare. Charge that bottom row.
Yeah, so obviously Wichita is a fixture now. The other cool thing about that is if you dug into the tickets and the website close enough, Aftershocks not only hosting a regional, but they're going to host a quarterfinal game. So whoever comes out of Wichita will host Blue Crew in Wichita. So once again, well-deserved, kind of like the Red Scare. I'm sure, my logic and what I was told is just totally off base, but, Dayton always shows up and provides a great crowd no matter who's playing in the arena. We saw it last year at the championship week, and same thing's going to happen in Wichita. Obviously they're pulling for their hometown team, but Wichita is going to show up and really support that quarterfinal game as well. And Boeheim's Army. So there we go. We're back up to Syracuse, obviously defending champions. Got a little say in how things run, and so got themselves back in position.
Syracuse legend Tyrese Rice.
Yeah. Kiefer Sykes, who's tearing it up in the G League.
Syracuse legend.
Would not be surprised if Kiefer Sykes doesn't get a call up really, really soon based on his numbers. He's, I think, number 2 in the league in assists right now. But so they deserve it. I mean, if you win, you should be able to call your shot.
Kennedy and Kane, Syracuse legend.
A nice one. But so it's going to be fun. We'll see who else shows up. The ratio of Syracuse to non-Syracuse, is that scale going to continue to turn, or we'll see where that goes. That's a different story.
The Boeheim brothers are seniors. I'm just saying.
Could be interesting.
I'm just saying. The Boeheim brothers are seniors. I'm just saying.
Could be interesting.
Buddy is a bucket. West Virginia and Herdbeck could have their fight. Last year, they got short-circuited by a great Team 23, who we will talk about. So maybe they can slog through what's going to be a tough region and play in the last day. Hopefully they can get there, but we'll see. And of course, we fully expect people to complain about their seed. Heard that, but we'll see what happens. So I guess we should talk a little bit about who's playing who as we get through it. So the regions, how they go. And we already talked about, Charge made the point that Wichita on the upper left is going to get to host a quarter as well. So not just a region, but they will play the winner of the Omaha region. And then Dayton's hosting all of the regions. So you can see these matchups. Xavier gets whatever's behind door number 1. They get the mystery region. So the winner of the Xavier, which I always said call Cincy, because I love the fact Xavier's hosting, but the rest of them are cities or regions. Calling it Xavier is just weird to me. It's the Xavier regional. I mean, whatever. But it is obviously they're the ones doing
put respect on the Bearcats name in the city of Cincinnati. Just leaving them out.
And trust me, it pains me to say that as a Memphis fan. I have no respect for the Bearcats, but it is what it is. So obviously you see some really, really stacked regions. So some preseason number 1 seeds. Now, again, this is way too early. We're guessing. It wouldn't shock me if one of these teams didn't even run. But these are the teams we're thinking are going to start the narrative. Now, the hosts are interesting because we only had half the hosts with the 1 seed. And frankly, a couple of them were a little soft. Like we bumped them down a few seeds. There wasn't an auto thing. I think the thing that strikes me out of this is that some teams have really started to move up the ranks. Team 23, a slightly lower seed last year, made the final. Sideline's gone from a 22nd seed all the way to a national contender at this point. Florida TNT had to buy their ticket last year. They're not going to have to pay a dime this year. They're in. They're in easy. So out of this, like, what do you think is the strongest one seed out of this group, you think?
Oh man, I got to stick with my guys from Florida TNT. That was a heck of a game last year. I think Team 23 obviously took it to them, and phenomenal game. I think they're still trying to figure things out, just what the future looks like. Obviously, that was a team that merged together, Team 23 and some overseas elite DNA had a great run. So if that team comes back in full, obviously that's a strong team. But I think when you really look at it on paper and the professional players that Florida TNT brought last year, even with a couple guys dropping out, that they're looking to fill a couple holes this year. So if they pick up a couple guys that I hear they're working on, it's going to be a solid team again. And I think they take it all this year. They're early pick, but Florida TNT will absolutely make a run again this year, and my favorite to win it early on.
Well, TNT has something that's actually in that everybody's looking for in modern basketball. They always have a lot of switchable guys who can play the wing and can handle and score, but also defend with size. They always have a lot of guys who are between 6'4" and 6'6" who can do a lot of things. And they have a lot of guys on the wing who can do stuff. So that's a great pick for top seed, a one seed that is. I kind of agree. I want to shout out Sideline, though, because they've really built themselves into a national contender as well over time. And I think their chemistry and their increased level of play, I think in my mind, probably makes them the strongest one seed coming back. So they're a known quantity. But I mean, TNT, I can't argue. That's also definitely worthy of it.
Kind of a known quantity. They jacked up some brackets last year with the last minute flying Keen in. So
hey, my five are on the floor. How that line in Hoosier goes? My team is on the floor, right? Keen got there. He was there. My team's on the floor. My team is on the floor.
Busted some brackets on that one.
What was the quote? I believe it was, we made a shot. We were sitting courtside. He said, I believe I'm a bad motherfucker. I believe that's what he said. I don't know. He's a good kid. I don't know if he'd say something that vulgar, but that's what I heard. So I don't know. Anyway, let's get into the actual regions. Let's stop screwing around this. Let's get to the regions. Now, again, this is a too early bracketology. There's teams that won't run. There's teams that will run we don't know about. So assume these are a rough draft in time, and we're going to be pretty wrong about a few of these because there's just information we don't have yet. Fair?
Yeah, and absolutely. And one of the main kind of logics that we're applying here is everything we've been told and heard is that if you played in TBT last year and you won a game in TBT last year, you'll be getting an offer to TBT this year. So
provided you're credible, I think you still have to have a credible roster. You can't be like, yeah, we're coming back.
I think there's going to be that screen, but if it comes back in the same semblance as the prior year, because obviously TBT puts a premium not only on the talent on the floor, but the reliability. So this really shows that they were able to show up, put a team on the floor, and have a good product that's going to win and drawing viewers and attention. So that was some of the logic as well. So and when you think about it, most of the same teams in recent years have been applying. There's going to be new teams. There always is new teams, but the core TBT, I think, starting to settle in a little bit. We'll talk about some of these new teams that may be able to make a wave, but I think the core TBT is starting to settle in now.
I would say, and we did a count. I don't have it in front of me, but we ended up with around 20 something locks, 20 something likely. So I would say 42 or so of the spots are pretty much in, like come hell or high water. And we had a bubble of about 25 or so. Like those are rough numbers. And a couple of intriguing, first we'll talk about teams that are new to the process that we want to keep an eye on. So our credible team list at this point was around 72 to 78. That was where we were taking our credible numbers to get to the 64 slots. We may have missed some. There's teams that are forming we don't know about, but that was a good working number from where we're at. And Charge, before we get one last thing, let's get to this. You know this better than me. What are the qualifications TBT usually picks for? You've talked about this a lot. What are they generally?
Oh gosh, putting me on the spot.
I'm a terrible.
But obviously, the big three is obviously, or the big one is reliability. That your team that is well organized, the GM's organized, you're meeting the deadlines, player rosters.
Respect the game
year
and
with
show up.
COVID type things, especially 2 years ago. So that's going to be a big thing. And then obviously, kind of the watchability. I mean, do you have a fan base? Will people tune in to see, whether it's an alumni team or a sideline cancer, that you got a great narrative, that you built this fan base and this kind of following, and then of course the talent of the roster. You can't show up and just me and Hainer showing up on the court to play a little ball. That doesn't fly.
Even though I just signed a 10-day with the Nets this week, so I'm playing on Christmas Day.
Everyone gets a 10-day. So yeah, so those are
power forward.
Kind of looks for. But unless you want to buy in and spend your money, we don't know what the buy-in dollar is this year, but there's always that option for Haqqani's city to get in there and get spanked again. But so obviously that's always the wild card to see how things go.
Well, it's interesting too. I mean, it's also a good time to mention too, like this is too early. So some teams will be seated lower, but are probably safe because of narrative or reasons that like they've gotten in before. And some teams are seated a little higher. But as a general rule of thumb, if you see yourself out of the field now, you think your team's going to have a chance, don't worry about it. This is too early. And if you see your team in as a 7 or 8, I wouldn't sleep easy. Keep getting better, keep adding, because we don't know what's going to happen. You're still around the cut line. Make sense? Let's get into it. Okay, so Chargers' favorite team, and again, an absolute group of killers. Yeah. I mean, they are going to be loaded.
They're going to be better than last year.
They're going to be last year.
Really, I'd be really afraid to be in Omaha. I would not duck any region. Last year, I think everyone started flocking to Peoria, thinking that was going to be one of the easier regions. Ended up being a tougher region, and so I think go where it makes sense and go where it's convenient. Because last year, I think we tried to gameplay too much where to go.
Yeah. Peoria Stars, credible team. They'll be a good tune-up for TNT to make sure their cardiovascular is ready. The Blue Crew, the hosts, get a 4 seed here. It shows the depth of the region, a quality program at a 4 seed. Hardfire, we think they're probably coming back. The Drew-led sort of team, they got a pretty good roster usually. They've had Isaiah Austin before. They've had some quality players there. So they usually have a pretty good roster. We think they're coming back. We're not sure. House of Pain drops to a 3. I mean, you lose to the underdogs. That's kind of what happens. In Charge, this is a kind of a fun matchup for the Heart of Illinois, isn't it?
Yeah, you got to have that one. I'm still blown away that Always a Brave made that run last year, obviously, in their own backyard. But it just shows anything can happen. I think the story of this one, though, is does Mike Dahm return to House of Pain?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's always the free agent du jour. He's one of those guys who's heavily recruited along with Corey.
We'll get you Corey soon. But, I think if Dahm jumps ship, I have a team in mind where he may end up. And
we're not going to say who it is. I think we both know the team, and I think we've heard it from separate sources. But yeah, there's some interesting things going on there. Golden Eagles dropped to a 2, which is not a sign of respect, just a sign of depth. There's no Milwaukee Regional. It's the closest place to put them, which sets you up for an Illinois versus Milwaukee's Illinois versus Marquette game, which would be amazing. Now, as we put the Beasley winners here. Charge, you want to talk a little bit about what that means? What's the Beasley tournament? So people are just
the Beasley tournament's pretty cool. So that's Vic
Beasley
has his tournament. What's that? Oh, yeah.
What's up, Vic?
So he has this tournament where you can go in and play for an entry into the tournament every year. So we're going to make the assumption he's having that same tournament again. It's been pretty popular. You saw Brooklyn Vultures last year. We were following them and promoting them through the social channels, kind of pulling for them to come out on top. And so, it's standard basketball tournament, single elimination. Or actually, no, they did round robin. They had pods last year, and the top teams moved on into a single elimination tournament. So they have 4 pods, and the top 2 from each one moved on, and then to a single elimination. And so really good talent down there. Obviously, Chris from Primetime Players, he knows a lot of the teams down there, and usually gives us some insight on what teams to watch. And he was back in the Georgia Kings right from the beginning, said these guys were going to win it. And of course they did. But I would not be surprised if more teams that we may be familiar with from the TBT don't show up down there. Because if I was a fringe team on the bubble and I had the means to get down there to play, I would absolutely get down there to play and give it a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the games last time, I believe Tim Scarborough, Buddy Scar, I think called the game.
Tim was down there.
Tim called the games, I think, as a courtesy, which was pretty cool actually, because Tim's a good dude. Outside looking in, we put the Hootville Warriors here. They stepped up at the colossal failure of Tubby Time to understand how to run a program and get in, which, knowing the fact that Tubby Smith's alums doesn't, I'm not gonna get into it. I'm not gonna kick a dead body. But the Hootville Warriors had a credible tournament run. They're usually a quality team. We could see them in this again. So it's not like they can't get in. They've been in this before. They've credibly gone in. So they're a team that you have to watch for here. Okay, now this is the one you're excited about because you're going to this. You're going to Cincinnati.
Oh yeah, I'm going here. I will absolutely be there.
Seed, sideline is, I mean, they're just loaded. And they've become the underdog that made good. That team that always had a low seed. It started becoming a program through hard work. So who else to match them up with but the underdogs, who are at this point underseeded. They're better than 8 seed. We'll talk about why they actually are in the 8 seed as opposed to a 7 or a 6. We'll get that in a minute. The dogs deserve a better seed, but we are open about the fact it's narrative based around here. You want the game. So playing the underdogs that made good of a story sideline, the team that went from underdog to bully, gets to play the perpetual underdogs who keep winning games, though, despite give them an 8, give them a 16, give them a 24. They win games. And they're
how about last year? No Jalen Barford. Everyone didn't even think Jackson, Tennessee should be in the tournament last year. And
they showed up. They won.
Do what they did. That was an amazing outing.
And they don't have a bunch of pros. They have a bunch of guys who have day jobs. It's amazing. This is one of my favorite teams. Being a Tennessee guy as well. Jackson's about an hour around. It's very close to Memphis, and they've always got a credible program. I have the utmost respect for the underdogs. I think Sideline Cancer, seeing this, would be really pissed to have to play them because they've got nothing to lose that makes them dangerous, and they would be very mad to see this as their 8 seed. They'd be pissed as hell. Actually.
Oh yeah, Sideline. I don't think they're going to sleep on anybody this year. They
were screwing you if you give you this.
They were taken to the brink every game last year, so they're not going to sleep on nobody. They'll be ready for anybody.
The Volunteers, Andrew Hayner's least favorite team. I'm still mad. In case anybody's wondering, Memphis's one last shot at a big win in college basketball got bounced because of COVID because we had a couple guys positive. So quick note, by the way, don't listen to me, listen to a medical professional, but please talk to someone if you're not vaccinated yet who is smarter than me. You would think that I would turn my phone off. Smarter than me about this. You really need to talk to someone smarter than me about this. The phone screwed me up. We're going to the staff and more professional. I'm unbothered. The Volunteers, I dislike.
Tennessee's opponent.
The Overlooked, who I'm obviously rooting for. The Murray State guys. So maybe we need John Morant on this podcast. I'm a Memphis guy. I love John Morant, so we got to get him on here at some point. I'll keep messaging. We have enough time to try to get him on to talk about these guys. Charge the vets over Armored Athlete. We heard they might look in Cincy. Always a professional program. This is an interesting one. This is interesting to me. That's the Louisville alum. You want to talk about what happened last year a little bit?
Yeah, it was interesting last year. That team was really starting to come together, really active on social. I mean, some of the players that they were coming up with were solid players, respectable players. I think it would have been a solid team. And so I think we all made a lot of assumptions that Louisville was going to be a slam dunk to get into TBT 2022. And then somewhere along the line, I think there was just some wires crossed, and I think the message was they weren't Louisville enough, from what we hear, and they had to kind of pack up the tent and go home before the tournament. So I think this one here, we've seen it before, teams not get in a prior season, kind of learn from their mistakes, learn exactly what TBT was looking for, what you need to do to get a little bit better. And so I expect them to be back. I can't imagine that they would not be back, and there would be a scary team if they do. This 36 will be a heck of a game.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Again, we're not doing anybody any favors. This shows again the depth of field, and there's no soft touches. The home team, zip them up. You can make the case for 1 seed. We think Sideline's a little better, but zip them up's going to have a roster. So I mean, they're going to be a problem. So making them
if JP doesn't get hurt last year, they're winning. They're winning. I don't know about the whole thing, but they were going to go through that. And then this is where Dahm is rumored to. So
you gave up the ghost. Is that what you're hearing?
I'm believing Dahm could end up with zip 'em up. That is what I'm feeling. That's what my gut's telling me. So if they get Dahm, does that make him a 1 seed over Sideline?
Well, it depends on if any other team can get Dahm. I've heard there's one other team that might be in the running, and that would also affect it as well. But let's talk a little bit more about the matchups we know could happen. Our old friends Bearcat Jam, they're one of the few new teams we're putting in that bracket, and it's purely a regional thing. How in God's name could you have a basketball tournament in Cincinnati without Cincinnati? You got to have them.
You got it, especially this matchup to 2 versus 7. So Melvin, the helicopter Levitt.
Get on your shit, Melvin.
Get on it. I mean, and the thing is, they showed up pretty well in Columbus. Would have been 3 years ago.
Yeah.
They had a nice fan base come with them. They brought some kids to the game. I mean, it was a really good environment. They really put in a nice effort. So for them being back in Cincinnati, they have to be in this thing. And so hopefully Melvin is using all his contacts. I mean, there's some really, really good Cincinnati guys that played a majority of their games in the G League this year. Guys like Trey Scott and Jerron Cumberland are just a couple.
What's Oscar Robertson doing? What's Oscar Robertson?
I mean, everyone's making a comeback now. I mean, we saw Joe Johnson, 40-ish years old, making the comeback. So Bill Russell's
going to play for the Celtics by the
But they got guys, Trey Scott. I mean, they got guys that they can call and get this lined up. So Melvin, let's do it. Hopefully he's working on it now.
Okay, and we also put as the next team out. And again, we can see like Louisiana United, our boy Tyron, who's still lighting up in France, great player still, always shows out well. Professionally run team, really conscientious, comes to play hard, got screwed once on a bad foul call in a big game. They're definitely a team that deserves to be in the tournament. So we're putting them out now so we have a spot for them. They come with the kind of team they can come with. That'll change. Like they're a team that definitely could see themselves be in this. So I hope they're still organizing because I'd like to see them make a rebound. New Mexico, the Pit. This is exciting. We're shoving Eberline Drive out there. Cody Toppert's a West Coast guy. He's got family in the area. The Eberline Memphis flavored drive. I don't know how we're going to put this out, but I really want them to start leaning into that identity. They had a training camp last year at the Finch Center. So we'll see how it works. Always a great program. The Forces of Soul Charge. That's a tune-up game, right?
Yeah. No, let's just leave it at that. Eberline roll on them.
Okay. Next matchup, we got Oregon. We got Autism Army. A couple teams that showed up pretty well last year, came to play. Again, the West Coast is a little bit odder with these games. We're trying to put some teams out there. It's become more Midwest, Northeast heavy in the year. So the West is sort of a grab bag of teams.
And keep in mind some of the which we don't know yet. Some teams are only going to be available first weekend versus second weekend, and I think that's what happened with the Oregon team last year, where we thought they were going to play geographically made sense, but they couldn't play, or their guys couldn't play in one weekend versus the other. So those things will come up once they know what their guys' commitments are for the summer, whether basketball related or like guys like Jared Solinger get married during the middle of TBT, back 3 years ago. So those things will come into play as well.
Marriage. Why would you do that? What a mistake. Okay, the Enchantment Nerd team. This excites you, I think. You like these two teams.
Oh yeah, this one I was really, really high on the Enchantment last year. They should have advanced. I actually had them beating Eberline Drive last year, but unfortunately, Enchantment didn't make it through. But that's like I said, real organized team. I don't know what Alex Kirk's contract situation is going to be in Japan, but he hasn't been able to play in a while since his Eberline day. So I'd love to see him back on the court in stateside, but they're going to be a solid team. They're going to have some young talents, some solid veterans. And then the Nerd team, like I said, this team was impressive coming out of the gate, put up a good fight last year, despite, kind of running a little shorthanded. So I know they have some big plans for this year and already making some moves. So this is going to be another solid team.
And the Nerd team, you love them. You love that logo.
Got to nerd out a little bit. Nothing wrong with that.
For the cheaters, and you are, again, we all have a lot of teams we like, and we all have teams we like and are fans of. But I believe, again, Casper fan club president.
Yeah. No, I will hype him till the end. So cheaters, let's do it. They're a lock to get in. I mean, it doesn't matter. Just put them in there as the number 2. They'll show up with the right team. It's hard to say. I mean, you may move Enchantment up a little as the home crowd, but they're likely going to be 2-3 Enchantment and cheaters here.
I would think so. And then, of course, one of my favorite sort of lower middle class teams that started to really develop over time is the Kimchi Express. They always show up. They play hard.
Kimchi
for their first non-play-in win. They have a play-in win. They don't have a full bracket win. They're still looking for that game. This would be a brutal.
The hate I got last year for not seating them higher. I was
No.
hate
You
mail.
not get hate for that. You got hate for never actually eating kimchi. Have you tried kimchi since then?
No. Come on. I told Daniel's got to show up to the regional I need him at. Daniel shows up, we're gonna head out and get some kimchi. But I think kimchi.
I'm getting us kimchi. We are eating kimchi. We didn't do. I am having it fucking delivered. If we both go to West Virginia, I am having kimchi because nothing's more representative than Korean food in Charleston, West Virginia.
I have no idea what we'll catch if we try that, but we'll see.
It's fermented cabbage. How can you fuck that? Okay, now the West.
Kimchi's in. Let's get that, and they do have a good professional team. We just got to get them over the hump and celebrate some wins with them.
And the great way to get them over the hump is to make them play the Druiding Legends of LA Cheaters. Make them cover Casper. That's a great way to get them over the hump. Okay, so some really credible teams. This is a pretty interesting region. We've got the West Coast Ronin, who have played this event before, been a credible tough team. We had Alan Cunningham on our show, and we also was one of our writers last year, I think, and he did a really good job for us. We shout out to Alan. We hope they're organizing. They're a credible team. They get in this. Let It Fly didn't really get organized last year, but I had enough to really start to be a thing. By the way, we are leaving Team Washington, Team Misfits, Team Big Three, Team whoever the hell those people are. I'm not I've gotten suckered in 3 times. Like, this team's gonna be good. No, until they literally show up and I watch them dribble at the event, I don't care. Like, I'm not going to bother. What am I wasting another brain cell on that roster ever again? The Utah Valor. You want to speak about our buddies, the Valor, a little bit?
Yeah, I tell you, this is one that I want them in at some point. They work too hard not to get into and not to discount the work of everybody else in the TBT community.
Hardest working team in social.
There are a lot of people who want to be in, who are passionate about TBT. But these guys really put their best foot forward. And last year, I think they had a really, really good squad as well. They put some kind of older guys, veterans, NBA guys, Boss Kloss. I mean, they got, a team that could compete and, be interesting. And so I hope this is the year. Like I said, I would take Utah Valor over Forces of Soul any day, but obviously Forces of Soul got in last year. Kind of
they have a good story too with the whole
international market a little bit, but give me Utah Valor any day. I take those guys over Forces of Soul 10 out of 10 times.
Well, so the first, a lot of good story though. I mean, I will say this, like, I'm starting to think also this event, we're not saying it's going to happen for sure. Well, actually, we know it's not going to happen this year, but like, we're getting close to having some playing games again. We're getting close to this being a 72 field team again. Our 72 team field. I know how you feel about that, but I think I know you hate it, but
you got Beasley. We need some people to pop up like Beasley that want to kind of make a tournament out of this thing, do the buy-in, create an event.
Yeah, it would be neat. We should be a sponsor. We should MC one of these one day. We should get the 20 grand one day.
There we go.
We should raise it. Yeah, you got 20 grand. I don't know.
Back in the day, I think it was only a couple thousand, and it went up to 5,000. And I have no idea what it even is. We have 15 grand. I don't even know. We'll have to find out what the
now it's like buy a new Corolla or do this. I don't know. Now the mystery region. This is kind of my favorite. Again, the Philly, Buffalo, Rucker Park, DC, city to be named, Cartagena, Colombia, the Moon, wherever the hell we're putting this thing. So we put conceptual point here. If a team is quote unquote homeless, basically, it doesn't have a natural fan base of a region tie, or it has a fan base, but it's more of a national thing, or they're a team that doesn't have a regional identity, this is basically where we put you, unless there's a strong preference somewhere else. So we basically leaned into the fact this will be a pro-am fun place to go. Now, once this region is known, that may change. So he took it as a Northeastern thing and shoved teams that didn't have a regional identity or teams with a Northeast regional identity in this to make a really fun sort of vibe here. Starting with, hey, our boys from Team 23. You talk about this side, Virginia. Team 23, credible program, right? Our boy Ileana's got a great roster probably coming back, right?
Yeah, Mr. West Virginia. Yeah, he absolutely.
the owner of West Virginia. The owner of the
gosh. State. I will never forget that for the rest of my life. One of my favorite TBT memories. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, but this one here, like the Team 23 kind of blended with overseas elite, and they've always kind of been more of an East Coast team. And obviously, we need to give them a number one seed somewhere based on their performance last year. And it's going to be cool when Hayner kind of clicks through all the teams on the slide. This is a pretty solid, like I said, fun region. It would be a dogfight in this one. I wouldn't want to be part of this one.
The happiest people to see them in this region are Best Virginia and Herd Dax. They do not want to play them again. They are thrilled not to just deal with it. We're putting the HBCU United out here, which I think was not a bye team, kind of a bye team. You remember a little more about this thing.
Yeah, no, I don't think it was ever like, hey, HBCU bought in. I don't think they had that hype around it. But if you were at the event, if you were at the event on the bracket, so as they moved the brackets along, the EJ Brandy name was on this team, so they definitely sponsored them, supported this team, and these guys came out, looked pretty good early on, put up a decent fight, kind of lost it towards the end, but I think a great step in the right direction for this team, and they should come back. They deserve to come back, and if they show up with a team, they're going to get in either way, buy-in, sponsor or not. They're like I said, definitely put up a good show.
Yeah, as we talk about it too, I'm starting to wonder where the spots are going to come from, because we are already at more credible teams and spots. So, and plus more teams will enter the fray. Okay, so speaking of more teams enter the fray, we're going to call this the hold spot for a team. We have heard rumors that Ram Nation might come back. The GM for Ram Nation was also the GM for Bleed Virginia. And also, is this where we mention White Men Can't Jump? Is this where we do it? Okay. So Billy Hoyle, it's the anniversary of White Men Can't Jump coming out. There's been a slight social media mention of them, and there might be a team that kind of unites around the concept as a one-time sort of thing around the movie. Which again, this leads credence to the idea: if it's a playground venue like Rucker Park, that's got to happen. I mean, at that point,
it's the only play you put them.
If it's like the Palestra, I'd rather see Ram Nation or Bleed Virginia. But if it's on a playground, I'm intrigued by teams. So we'll just call this the Matt spot, basically. It was what we're going to call it.
And at the end of the day, whichever iteration that takes, Matt's got a real credible history of putting together very good teams, winning teams through Ram Nation competitive teams like Bleed Virginia. So it's going to be a good team, and they're going to show up and reliable. So they'll get a pass in.
I'll say this in the tone of the what if thing you see on Marvel Comics. If OE didn't exist, Ram Nation would have won a title at some point. Honestly, because they kept running into them. So at some point, if OE did not, in the alternative universe where OE never happened, Ram Nation has a chip at some point in this event. And it just never worked out for them. Primetime players, the patron saints of minor league basketball. They will play anywhere, anytime. So that's where we're putting them. Anywhere, anytime. We don't know the time and the place. Natural placement for them. Team Hines. Ooh, as a 3 seed, this tells you all you need to know about what's going on here. Hines is a 3. That's ungodly dangerous.
Yeah, and it's all going to come down to, once again, what situations are with professionals and COVID and any number of things. So, but they'll be competitive. It doesn't matter. They're going to show up.
Who was 20th and only snub? Who was the biggest snub last year?
20th and only by a landslide.
No idea.
I mean,
we love the event.
This one I did not get.
Still confused.
Some of the other teams that didn't get in that weren't identified enough, I kind of get some of those, but 20th and only, these guys have a history in the TBT, and not only as that brand, but other players who played. Maurice Watson, which is still pains me that he was not able to play in the TBT last year because 20th and only got snubbed as one of the best international players out there right now. I mean, every league.
Like one of the guys from Coming to America, the preacher. I heard the name. I thought of the guy, see. I'm sorry.
But if you're a GM and you're watching, Maurice Watson is still a free agent to the best of our knowledge and has not had we had people making offers that people on the court last year, and nobody's made a call to Maurice Watson yet. So come on, let's get this done. I hope he sticks with 20th and only though, and these guys get in.
Okay, so the money team we're putting here, but you think they end up in Cincinnati, actually, when all said.
Absolutely, yeah. Obviously, Jordan Crawford running that team. He is from Cincinnati, and Great fan base in Cincinnati, a lot of followers down there. So I absolutely think once the dust settles, TMT is going to be in Cincinnati.
I just couldn't figure out where to.
Jordan went to LaSalle High School down there. I mean, they'll draw a big crowd. I mean, they've got big name players that people are going to want to come out and watch anyways. But I think he will bring a following to Cincinnati. And, being overseas players, if I had a chance to play in my hometown and be closer to family versus traveling, I would absolutely do that. And being the GM, you know what? You get to make those calls.
You do.
I think TMT will be in Cincinnati.
I just don't know who to move out of Cincy. I mean, we'll figure it out. It's all going to shake out. But
I mean, at the end of the day, let's be honest about that. If you're a 7 or 8 seed, you're going to play.
You're going to go where you're told.
Where you go.
Yeah, you're going to the moon.
Yeah. So if he wants to play TMT 7 or except Bearcat Jam, they're going to be playing in Cincy if they get formed.
We talk about alumni teams, but you also talk about high school alumni teams.
Yeah, this was a fun one last year. I loved watching these guys form, and this is one, speaking of which, I mean, they were obviously looking to play a little bit closer to home, but ended up in Wichita, Peoria. I can't remember at this stage of the game, but they put up a good fight, had a good game, and, they deserve to be back, and great story there. So, but once again, what's kind of interesting is a lot of East Coast teams, so no matter where they go, whether it's Rucker, Philly, or DC, or
team to be known.
Who knows? But this is going to be a good regional, however you shake it out. But like I said, this one kind of cobbled together based on what we don't know. So we just guessed.
It's going to be hilarious when I put this thing in like Vancouver. We're going to be like, oh crap, and just start shoving teams over there. Oh yeah, we're putting this in Ottawa. What? Like what are you talking about? Like it's just something crazy like that. The next up teams, our buddies, the Brooklyn Vultures, always a credible. They've played this event. They've been a credible out. They're a lot of fun. So there is definitely a scenario they make it in. They try hard every year. So they're not they're the kind of bubble team that Beasley was made for, by the way, in the sense like they may get in on their own, they may not. And they did, to their credit, and this is worth mentioning, they knew they were a bubble team last year since they were strong enough to get in, but there weren't enough slots. And they're the kind of team that begs for a few more slots because they're really a good team, decent. But the thing is, they knew their spot in the order and they went to Beasley and tried. And they played it hard. They almost walked out. They didn't quite do it, but like, they've got a credible squad. That's the kind of team they can go into Beasley and rock out too. So maybe they get in the hard way this time. Who knows? And the B1 Ballers made last year as a bye team. We don't know if they're going to do it again. So we left them on the next up phase for now. Wichita, here we go. This should be fun. The Shocks, a lot of home cooking, a lot of blind refs got them a pretty good run last year. And
I missed so bad on that one. They were my pick to get upset in their first round. So we'll see. We'll see this year.
One of the new cause teams we're putting back in, Sickle Cell Hoops. Yeah, they're pretty quality. Hopefully they reform. The Fort Worth Funk, which is still one of the better logos from last year. I mean, it looks like a pimp's hat. I absolutely fucking love it.
Yeah, and these guys are hustling in the off season too. So if you're following them on social, they're showing up to some of the TCU games and meeting fans and handing out T-shirts.
They did a charity event too. Their GM was talking to me and I said they had this massive charity event where they were giving like 100 meals or something. I forgot the exact.
Yeah, number. I'm gonna say, and that was after we started talking about this. That's probably something else we could have covered, but I know Mid-American Unity gave away what a GM for Mid-American Unity. I don't know if the Mid-American team was assigned to it, but he did some good things. Devendorf always does some good things. The Fort Wayne Funk. I know I've seen 2 or 3 other teams that are out there doing good stuff in the community. So it's really nice to see those guys doing that.
Sure. And we're going to go ahead and give them a good time Big 12 option against the Purple and Black. Always a credible team. Always this game will be physical. Team Arkansas. So again, the question is Barford rolling with them again as you go back to the underdogs. What's going to happen here? Like, I assume he's rolling with Arkansas, but can they add Ja'Cory this time? Is the Ja'Cory recruitment of Arkansas and Hurd going to year 3? Like, how's this going to work? Like, I would see.
Yeah, that's going to be the interesting one because I think Arkansas played well last year. Still, didn't meet their own expectations. But if you can get Jalen back and get Dusty back and get Ja'Cory somehow pried away from Hurd that. I think Ja'Cory really has a good time on Hurd that though. I mean, it's I'd like to see him play for Arkansas just because to see it different and get that alumni team a little bit tighter. But I mean, John and do a great job with the team, taking care of the guys who are playing for them and, seeing them out there. You can see that they sincerely have a really good time playing ball together. So I think my gut says he'll stick with that and try to make it one more run because they had a great run, a little disappointed last year. So, there's a little meat on the bone that they want to go after this year. So I'm going to say Corey stays.
We're going to pause the bracket talk for just 1 second and show you guys on camera real quick. This is Pickwick. Pickwick is a new member of the family. He is the honorable successor of Jordy, who passed away. So this is Pickwick. He's a good 7-year-old poodle mix, and he is the new dog of ZoomTheTBT.
Yeah, the official dog. Love it.
Now too soon, just so you know. No options otherwise. Okay, Stillwater Stars. They played a really tight game against Everline last year, so we really. Look, we love them.
Yeah, it was that close.
Yeah, it was an execution. But they have a good program. They just cut a buzzsaw. I mean, look, some nights you play the game, some nights the game plays you. They're a good program. We expect them back. And if I was Team Arkansas, I'll be pretty pissed about this draw because failure is a great teacher. And if you get stomped on national television and you come back with vengeance in your mind, I would not want to play them because they're going to have a good program. They're going to come back angry as all living hell. I would not want to play them. Speaking of teams that always show up, though, Challenge ALS at this point is just a huge program. Like they always come to play. Like they're one of your favorite teams to watch, right?
Yeah, no, that's one of those ones. I mean, Sean Marshall, has guys who want to play on the team. I think last year a couple curveballs thrown. Tyrese Rice was committed to him, and then wooed away by Boeheim's Army somehow.
Syracuse legend Tyrese Rice.
Found an offer he couldn't refuse, and so I think they still performed well last year. Got some talent to back it up and backfill it, and they're going to show up one way or the other, and they're going to play for their cause. And it's more than basketball with these guys. Obviously, they're due to make another run after some of their early success, but they'll be back. They'll be fun, and they'll have a very talented team. People are going to want to show up and play for Challenge ALS.
Now, what school did you go to for college, by the way?
Fredonia State.
What division are they in?
The Blue Devils, Division III.
I went to Washington University, which is also Division III, which is why we're going to talk about We Are D3. Now, this is a rematch of last year's first round game, which D3 was in until the very end. And this has been a trend with Division III or We Are D3. They keep coming. They keep playing hard. They've been up or competitive every first half, every late second of every game they've played, and then runs out of gas because of the depth of the roster, which is why I want to bring up a player, which I don't know if they're recruiting, but Ryan Terrell, he's a senior who plays here at Yeshiva, and he's like basically leading all of D3 in scoring, and he is a senior, which means he doesn't need a waiver to be eligible. If they get him on the court to add some depth of an already really high quality team, this wouldn't be a great draw for us. That might change what happened last year. They add that kind of scoring punch. So it could be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It could be a pretty wild.
Yeah, and the other kid, Deemers, is playing some really good ball for the Maine. I guess they're the Celtics now. I still want them to be the Red Claws, but unfortunately, I like the more creative names. And so obviously, I'm assuming he'll be back, if not on a different contract at that time. But I may get a chance to get a Charge guy on We Are D3. So the Charge signed Brian Cameron from Wesley College. Yeah, I had to Google him and I had to look him up, and I had no idea. But that's the beauty of it. The guy averaged like 29 points in his senior year. So Reg, Brian Cameron, Charge player. We know what Charge players do to these rosters. I don't need to quote it again, but your chances of winning go up dramatically with a Charge guy. So Brian Cameron, sign him today, Reg.
Real quick, to the Fort Wood Hood Warren Warriors, we put his next team out. Credible program, played in it again. A lot of these teams you'll see in the first out are really high-quality teams who just there's not enough room for. They had DJ Steffens commit, I believe, to their team last year, and as a Memphis guy, I'd love to see that. So if they get Steffens again this year, I put them in the bracket, no questions asked. That's my take on the whole thing. Okay, Syracuse Regional. We're going to start with Boeheim's Army, the defending champs. Syracuse legend Tyrese Rice. Syracuse legend TJ Kennedy. Syracuse legend Sykes. Syracuse legends all throughout the... No, I'm kidding. They have a great roster, though. The question is, so is Devo coming back? He's got a chip now. Does he want to come back and show out? Are we going to get, Buddy Buckets? Buddy Boeheim's a senior. That would be a big shot in the arm. They've had a few guys come out who are now playing in Europe who can add some fresh blood to a roster that's a little older. I fully expect them to defend their title with a lot of honor and a lot of big games. So we'll see. Warming up against the Expats, which would be That's the Patriot League sort of founders. And by the way, worth mentioning, they lost to a Patriot League, Syracuse, for the first time. They lost to Colgate for the first time since like the Nixon administration or some nonsense. So, I mean, it's been a long time. So it's been an up and down year in college ball. Brown and white, you want to speak on that's your kind of program. What do you got there?
Yeah, no, I think this is going to be a great bracket for them. So going to be in a New York team, brown and white, has a lot of good talent. They got on the floor last year with their squad, and a lot of upside here. So I hope they continue to grow. If you get a few more players built in there, and they're going to be solid. And can't wait to watch them. I wish it was Buffalo once again. So I'll keep crying that Buffalo didn't get the regional over Syracuse, but that's all right. We'll get it. We'll get it someday.
It could still be in Buffalo. We don't know that yet. They could be.
It could. I'm not holding my breath. And yeah. So Wolf Blood obviously
you hold your breath. You don't look like the kind of guy who hold it very long.
No.
I'm not hold my breath.
Done.
I think it's Wolf Blood. We didn't know where to put Wolf Blood. Put them.
Yeah, they're going to be one of those teams where they'll find a home. They organized well last year, and they'll be competitive wherever they land.
That'll be a fun game for the right to play another fun game. Speaking of Buffalo, this was the new team besides Zip 'em Up of the tournament last year. Though they really showed out well. You love the program. You were really impressive.
I do, and this is one where, like I said, I should have backed them a lot harder. I mean, it's my hometown, Western New York, and man, I would have definitely been winning some crypto if I would have just picked Buffalo to go, because I had Team 23 deep as well. I was riding those guys hard and Florida TNT hard, and this is the one. If I would have had this one, I would have felt really good about the outlook. But yeah, it's just one of those ones you knew they'd be good. I had no idea they'd be that good in year one.
We're gonna have a crypto show where you and Matt Martucci and Iliano. And
yeah, no, I'll learn. Those guys are the experts. You get Josh Brown and Matt Martucci and Iliano on here.
I'm not going to even be there. I'm like, you guys can talk about it. That'll be my show. So we have Buffalo. Now, the mental toughness team, interesting roster. They had a good roster last year. It's a natural kind of place to put them. They'll be a fun first-round game. But, I mean, let's talk about what the money shot is. And this is Team Brotherly Love. Now, they came off a rather tough loss to Jimmy V last year, because they were also criminally underseeded, though. So the reality is, like, getting Team Brotherly Love on a Syracuse warpath would be pretty interesting. Then if you get past blue collar first, now if you get past Team DRC, now this is probably a soft buy. Team DRC has been in a few times before. They weren't as credible last year as they usually are. So maybe this is a sort of a guess having them in. Now I want you to talk about this though. The next up, talk about this team a little bit, Charge, because this is a team we really see in the bracket actually.
Yeah, so overseas fit TBT, and so just kind of muddling through some of the social threads, and so this is ex Gale Nation team kind of forming. I don't think this is going to have too much of a semblance of Gale Nation. Obviously, they got some ties to that team. They could probably backfill some players, but I think this is going to be one of those overseas teams where they really go out and look for the highest caliber overseas players. It is a brand, Overseas Fit, which I don't know much about, but except through Google.
I didn't know that they're a brand.
Yeah, and so they have guys like Xavier Munford associated with the brand, and Tyler Harris, I believe, and so some guys who can definitely ball, and so I'm assuming you're going to start to see some of those guys associated with the brand come together on this team, plus the connections with the overseas. I think this could be one of those ones definitely look out for. They bring a lot of passion to TBT, and they're going to put up a good team no matter what. So sad to see Gale Nation leave the TBT circuit. I don't know
especially if Rick Pitino as part of the program now. Like this is the one time to hype that. That's the thing that kind of
I know. Yeah, they brought everything every year. This is another one, 20th and only in Gale Nation, and every year we talk about Gale Nation. Yeah. Where they either get snubbed or a really bad seed, but these guys every single year were winning the first round and bumping into Syracuse or whatever the case might be. But Gale Nation should be a fixture in this tournament, so kind of sad to see that go by the wayside, but glad to see that they're looking to rebuild under a new brand. And like I said, it should be interesting to see where it evolves to and what form it takes exactly, but they're already moving and shaking on this thing, so they're not going to be behind the eight ball once we start to get to those application periods. Team DRC, if they don't buy in,
oh yeah, that's a soft season.
that was highly disappointing last year. Highly disappointing last year that they didn't show up with a squad. But different story. But
Okay,
is what it is.
This is my favorite one, top to bottom, and this is the only region. Like all the rest of these are so much in flux. It would not surprise me if we have this to a seed already. It would not shock me if this is 100. This is the one I feel really confident. Like I think this is done already. I think we actually have the teams. I think this is the 8 that are going. I feel pretty confident about this one region. West Virginia gets the 1 seed, but I don't think they should feel that safe. This is going to be a complete grind because we were there. It's a tough place to play. Woco Showtime coming back, and they were down big to them, but came back and almost pulled it off. They came back late in that game, so that's a dangerous
chance to win that game. Yeah,
yeah. And then you got the physicality matchup. Favorite of ours, D2, a really well coached, really physical team that knows who they are, comes hard to play. Against another friend of the program, Jimmy V, who always comes ready to play, had their first win. That again, that's going to be the same matchup we had last time when they played Bleed Virginia. We're putting D2 against a physical, veteran, gutty team. This is going to be ice packs and bruises day after this. These guys are going to play their guts out. I hope they get an extra rest day. They're going to need it. The winner of that game is going to need the rest. Your 3 seed, a team that really surprised us at 12 last time, the Buccaneers. I mean, they came and they caused a lot of problems last year, really shockingly so, in fact. But the team of the tournament, even though they didn't win any games, they lost in the first round. But talk a little bit about the founding fathers, what they brought to the table as a narrative and as a team.
Yeah, once again, that's another one they absolutely had the chance to play. But this one just really felt good for a number of reasons. They've been trying to get in TBT for a lot of years. Got in this year. AJ Davis obviously was a great story last year. I mean, just a lot of heart and soul. And, to see him, take the floor for founding fathers at the jump was a great moment. They had, one of the female players play and, see game time. And so these are guys who are, doing the right things and, playing some great ball at it. So they're doing their team the right way. They're taking care of their people and they're playing great ball. And so I think this one here coming back another year, you learn every year, and I'm sure they'll get some more people interested in playing that may not have been interested previously. So it just goes well for an alumni team to have a good, successful year. So I can't wait to see what Founding Fathers does, but man alive, that Buccaneers team was electric last year. They put on a show.
Yeah. And by the way, that Founding Fathers team on the court as well, like they stretched sideline to the limit. That game
they had a chance to win, man. That game was crazy.
Like that was a 16-1 upset doesn't happen that often in life. That would have been amazing. And
Marcus Keene didn't catch the plane, or we would have been a different.
Marcus Keene did not get back to America for that game. They were done. They were.
They were on them.
So, okay. So, our buddy Ott, here's his 2 seed. He's going to want his 1. He's going to complain about it. That's fine. We love him.
He's got to get it back now.
Yeah. We saw Ott. So Ott, the best thing that we saw from that tournament, Ott was a great host for the event. We were in the car with him actually going through a drive-through at one point. You guys got lunch at Wendy's one day because we were Body by Wendy's. I'm the vegetarian. All I get was fries. But it was funny because they had a pretty good team last year. Elmore's still there. John's still there. I bet they get Ja'Cory back. And they've got some really good talent. So I don't see them being anything less than a very dangerous 2 seed. Okay, we told them we were going to talk about them. Hi, Matt. We're going to talk about your team now. We almost didn't put War Ready in. We think, by the way, we think they get in, but this is a team that needs to be shook up. We've been high on them for 2 straight years, and they've gotten, I'll say it bluntly, they've gotten their asses kicked 2 straight years. I mean, just destroyed off the court. Matt runs a good program. The players are good. They're good guys. They try hard. Just something, they seem cursed. So what do they have to do to just not lose by 20 again? Like, what do they have to do?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I bet Matt wishes he knew the answer to that. But I think they're going to continue to go the right way. I think it's one of those ones they underperformed on the court, but I think Matt and his connections with the Auburn players are, forming. I think they're going to do a lot more with the university this upcoming year by the sounds of it. And I think that's what it's going to take, is just getting a few more people plugged in, probably a few more boosters and backers plugged in, and, really kind of take this program, because they have the fan base for it. I mean, they absolutely 100%. Have the fan base, and the people back them into TBT, and, they're going to want to win eventually. Obviously they're going to root for their guys no matter what, but imagine that first win for War Ready is going to feel really good. And if this is the case against Herd that in Charleston, that's going to be a tough run. But, I think these guys are not going to take this lightly. Not that they did any prior years, but I think they're putting more groundwork this year to get plugged into the university, to get more players plugged in from that Final Four team, and, some wild cards. They lost Bryce Brown last year. He was injured, and, obviously would have been the cornerstone of that offense. And so if he's killing it in the G League right now. So if he comes back healthy to the summer, which we believe he will, and they still have that same core, I mean, they're going to do well. Like I said, this is a tough region. As you look 1 through 8 here, this is one that you don't want to necessarily be part of, but this is probably the closest to Auburn. I think they're down the right path, the right trajectory. It's just got to make it happen. Got to get over the line.
And we're rooting for him. Matt's been a guest. Matt's a very good guy. He also is the GM of Tampa 2020. He's trying hard. He's doing the right thing. So it's more, we're not critiquing his effort or his wherewithal on the basketball court. It's got to happen at some point. Because at some point, you, as Parcells says, you are your record. And they're 0-2 with a point differential of negative -1 million. So
I'm glad they're coming back. After they got ran over last year, there's a lot of debate. Should they even bother trying anymore?
They should. 100% should.
Tampa 2020, and I thought you were more that they should go back to Tampa 2020 last year, and I said no, you got to stick with War Ready.
You got to keep the brand. You got to keep the brand.
You come this far with it, and the team should be able to win. They have the players to be able to win. So hopefully this year.
That helter-skelter styles made for this event. I mean, East Tennessee rode a physical pressing, physical fast defense to win. It's like, if they can click, like the difference between losing by 20 and romping isn't that big in this kind of event. War Ready has the horses and the DNA in their bodies from playing at Auburn to rampage on teams that aren't prepared. So this not only should it be better, it just confuses me why they're not. Like, I want to see them win. I want to see them just kick some ass. So far hasn't happened. I hope they do this year. I'd love to see it. Anyway, the thing about the teams left, this is it for them. Boo Williams has played before. Casell Guardians, Virginia Tech would be a natural place to put here. Hoop State Mix is pretty fun. Hickory Hoyers are a close second. They're a long second to prime time in their league. These are all credible teams, but like the inn is full. These 8 teams, you're not bouncing any of these 8 teams for those 4. So those 4, if they want to get in, I suggest applying to a different region. This region, the inn is full.
Well, I want to see Boo Williams get in and play Armored Athlete. That's my dream matchup around one. I still need to see that. Would you say that? That was some good social. That was a good Twitter beef last year. So we'll see if it happens.
No, it doesn't matter.
That was fun.
Okay. We still have one more region. Crap.
Holy cow. We're still going.
You're slow as hell today. Okay. We'll do this one fast. Red Scare, credible program. The region, they don't have a win yet, do they? Don't do that. They don't have a win.
I've been so into the region for 3 years now, and every year they break my heart. I can't do it again. I can't. I think their team, they have a good team. I mean, they have a good team every year. It's almost like the Auburn story all over again. The War Ready guys is every year. It's like, man, this is a really good team, and then they break your heart. So I hope the region gets in, but I can't emotionally get invested in the region for one more year.
I hope they do. Emotionally invested in anything though. Okay, Cat 5, good program. They should be pretty dangerous. Fort Wayne Champs, the last team in. You won some shoes, I believe. How do those Puma shoes fit well?
I actually won a little more than Puma shoes. So the deal was the fan panel, went and they were presented a number of teams, 4 teams to get in, and Fort Wayne was the obvious choice. So Fort Wayne won, then everyone on the fan panel got Puma shoes. It was in the form of a $100 gift card. And you know how cheap I am, Hainer. I was able to go to the outlet mall on a holiday with like a 25% off deal and turned it into 3 pairs of shoes and 4 t-shirts. No lie. $100.
You're the cheapest fucker alive. I love it.
I am. Got to make the
That's
money.
fine. That's how you save money. I gotta learn that shit.
But yeah, so thank you, Fort Wayne champs once again. But yeah, they'll definitely
look good at TBT. They won a game. They beat prime time.
They always. I mean, if they didn't have injuries too, that would have been a different story either. I mean, they lost a lot of guys right off the bat, and obviously they got to protect their professional careers over TBT. But that could have been a different story as well.
Menomaki, I had to give Isaac Haas a bottle of bubbly after they beat.
You really sent it to him?
Yeah, I gave it to him. I went to his hotel to give it to him. Absolutely.
Did you really?
No, so the best thing was he came into the press conference, pointed at me and goes, "Rose, room whatever number it was," and then he did his press conference. But before he said a word, he pointed at me and said, "Rose." I'm like, all right, whatever. I owe you that. It's fair. Then he actually, when I delivered it, he's like, "You want to put a bounty on the next team?" And I'm like, "Nah, dude, I don't hate the next team. You're on your own from here on out." I just hate the volunteers. So that was, and actually they're a really credible team. I would love to see a rematch though. If they can get past Ohio, which we've already heard from Kenny, they're coming back reload. So that'll be a dangerous little team. Carmen's crew, big question mark because Columbus isn't hosting. That I'm wondering if there's some smoke there. Like, I assume they're coming back. They have too much quality. But Kraft is supposedly done. Sellinger is now more of a coach. Kufus, is he going to come back? I mean, what is their roster? Are they playing? If they're playing, they're dangerous. They're a former champ. They're really good. But, like, they're not hosting. They always host when they enter this. That's interesting to me. Isn't that interesting to you?
Yeah, no, this is a tough one to call. I mean, because they definitely have enough of the young talent, but between Big X in the past and Carmen's crew, they've got the players out there that they can put together. It's just, can they organize? Is someone going to pick it up? Is Solinger still going to run with it? I don't know, because Diebler's out. Lauderdale was helping coach last year, but obviously not playing anymore. So yeah, this one here just complete shot in the dark. I mean, they're a 2-seed no matter what. If they form, they'll have enough of the young talent to do it and get it done. It's just a matter of, do they do it? We don't know.
Can we flip the 1 and 2 here too if they enter? Correct? We can, right? That's a code number one if they enter, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. We had that debate last year, and it's really flip it. And I mean, Menamaki's going to be tough. Cat 5 is going to be tough. I mean, these are
talk about your boys from an American Unity, so we can close out this line.
Yeah, no, these guys, they're a fixture now. Mike Perini and his guys do a great job, and it's got to get them over the hump a little bit more. So we've seen a few in the American Unity / Camp Bulldog wins in the past, but we need to make a nice run one of these years. So
you know what I'm saying
this year
is LeBron's obviously knows some of the players on the team. I think it's time for LeBron to just play for him. They probably are better than the Lakers right now. Just gonna say that. Your teams
would be a stretch. Maybe that's the mystery city. Maybe LeBron is going to host it at St. Vincent St. Mary's. I mean,
if the Lakers enter TBT in a region, I would absolutely give them a 3 I would put them behind, like zip them up and sideline. We're at that point. Like, they are dysfunctional as a basketball team. Hoops for LSF, a program we really like. They didn't get in last year, but they're coming correct. Definitely a team to watch out for. The Hockney City, do they want to pay out to take a whipping again? We're guessing no. We're guessing that's not what's going to happen. Okay, so we're through with the teams line. We were on a little long, so let's get to the real quick the big ifs, the teams that could make everything we've said be completely incorrect. The elephant in the room, Overseas Elite. We think they're done. Half their team plays on Team 23. The other half are now Syracuse Legends. I don't see them reforming. But if they do, they're something not to be trifled with. That bottom row, Sons of Westwood, my beloved Bluff City, Colborne, Power of the Paul, all those guys, self-made. The alumni teams that have played before have built-in fan bases. So if they come, I mean, they have to be considered credible. Team CP3, he helps make this event big. He is the reason this Elam ending is used in the NBA. Which is amazing. Team Colorado, former Final Four team. So, and of course, your teams on the right, your long-term sort of guys who have played before. We haven't seen in a couple of years, but we'd love to see Broad Street come back. We'd love to see Illinois BC come back. So, Charge, out of this thing, who out of this thing would you most want to see? Mine's obviously Bluff City, but who would you most want to see come back off this board?
don't know if it's necessarily most want to see. I got two that I want to see. I think Utah is the most likely to be seen. I think if any team off this page plays, I mean, you're down there in New Mexico this year, and so you got a West Coast city, and they're always in the running and always has good talent. But obviously, Power to Paw, would love to see those guys come back. That's another team that I think they have the
Really
talent
professionally run, too.
the resources to do it. I'd love to see Drown Blossom game run with them, and so I think Utah's the most likely. The team I'd probably most want and I would back would be Power to Paw, would be the team I'd really like to see. Broad Street Brawlers, I'm going to throw in a third. Obviously, Broad Street Brawlers, I mean, always been fun, always competitive. I just don't know if they're in position anymore to go down that route. It's been 2 years at least. So, it would take a little work to get it back. But once again, another quality team that could have the resources to do it if they choose. But
I'd love to see the Broad Street get a team together and then go say hi to Vic Beasley. Maybe that'd be a nice way to get back into the mix. Like apply and definitely try to apply, and because they're credible, they usually have a good program. And then maybe go try to get the hard way just in case, get their feet back in the water. Maybe I'd be interested. I think the Beasley event's something we should cover harder this year. To be honest with you. Okay, we've gone long as hell. Closing thoughts, George? Yeah, closing thoughts?
I don't even know anymore. No, we talked so long. No, it's been fun. So hopefully everyone else enjoyed it. Your kind of Merry Christmas episode. So, Charles and Hayner, we love doing this. So we appreciate anyone who tunes in. And this is just a starting point. Teams are forming, starting to see a lot of stuff online. People are already declaring players, which is just crazy to me.
Already, it's wild.
So we're just seeing crazy stuff like that. So it just really means TBT's right around the corner. So I think the next big news is going to be this mystery Tbt location. So we'll have to get back online and talk a little bit about that.
Put your money where your mouth is. Where do you think it is? We don't know anything. We're just guessing.
Philly.
Billy? I think they're going for the Rucker. I think they are. And we're probably both so wrong.
TBT is going to end up in Omaha.
Well, they're already in Omaha.
I think that was the one surprise. I think that's the one that I don't think anyone really saw that one coming, because there's a lot of known entities with Wichita and Dayton and West Virginia, and so we kind of get those. But Omaha, I did not see that one coming at all. But they're going to be unpredictable as always.
Not where is it going to be? Where should it be? We'll close on that and we'll get out of here because we're already like 10 minutes long. But
I still think Philadelphia, absolutely. They are the right location. I mean, it's good from a geography standpoint, but it's also good from a basketball fan standpoint. They're just premier teams, premier fans in Philadelphia. Love the Philadelphia fans or hate them. They will show up and get crazy in the city. I just think Philadelphia would be my pick for the right city.
I've got two. And by the way, I love Philly. I love them about Philly, but like this bracket needs one more city that's outside the Northeast Midwest. I don't even think they're better than Philly. Philly's a great basketball town, but I would like to see it go to either New Orleans to get some teams in the Southeast Conference a chance, like give the Warriors a place. Or speaking of War Ready, though we gave them a hard time, I would love to see it at Auburn, just because I think the fan base would be good. And plus, we realized when doing the regions, the map shows a lot of Northeast, a lot of Midwest. There's a lot of Southern teams with no natural home drives. So I'd love to see it get a little more regionally diverse. I mean, Philly's the best city we're talking about, but for basketball, but I think the regional diversity would be helpful. Okay. Any last words?
Yeah, and there's a lot of teams that love it. Tampa, Orlando, Dallas, Seattle. I mean, there's a lot of places, LA for Pete's sake. So, I mean, but yeah, Philly, book it.
Philly's the best city. Yeah. Okay. Charge. Anything else?
No, I'm good, man. Appreciate the time today and can't wait to do it again. Okay.
Season 3, episode 0. It's a preview. We're in beta testing. This has been Charge and Hayner present Zoom the TBT of our too early bracketology. Signing off.
Hope you enjoyed listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner. Subscribe to YouTube, follow on Twitter, and give us your money.